Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Moedim L'Simcha. This is a season of great joy and freedom. And in a moment, we're going to kindle our Shabbat candles. But first, this lovely poem by Alden Salavi called The Season of Counting. This is the season of counting days and nights, of counting the space between slavery of the body and freedom of the soul. This is the season of seeing earth and sky, of seeing renewal in the land and renewal in our hearts. This is the season of journeying, of inner journeys and outer journeys, taking us places that need us, places that we need. This is the season of counting, the season of joyous anticipation, of wondrous waiting in devotion and awe for our most precious gift, the gift that binds our hearts to each other across the millennia, the gift that binds our souls to God's holy word. I'd like to invite forward Pam Manis to kindle our candles this Shabbat. Page 120, 121. Come over here, Lily.
Okay.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generation of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Good job there, girl. Shows how long this week was. Right? She couldn't get the candle lit because it was a long, long week.
On page 123, I invite you to rise physically or spiritually. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshonu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, כי הוא יודע למקראי קודש, זכר לציון כתריים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים.
L'chaim.
You may be seated. Page 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the pain of memory, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while that what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. On page 130, Lechu Neranana.
Nice, evil one. Lechu neranana, lechu neranana, lechu neranana, le'Adonai. Lechu neranana, lechu neranana, lechu neranana, Adonai. Naria, naria, Efuni shenu, nekad mavana v'toda. Naria, naria, litzur yishkinu nekadma anav b'toda. Lecha neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena le'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena le'Adonai.
I love singing it. That particular tune is the tune even the most traditional of Jews will sing to that setting, because it is the nusach for the beginning of a Friday evening service. So it's so lovely to do it, in especially this time when we're joining together all as one happy family, celebrating freedom's call. We continue, page 138, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. 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 Shamur v'zachur b'dibur echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת והיתילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
So before we get down to the business of prayer, if anyone has the inkling, there are some sweets left over from Pesach that I wasn't able to find Carlos, that we've asked to put out, and I would love for us to be able to share them. So if anybody is willing to just check to make sure that Carlos remembers that we have little cupcakes, thank you, little cupcakes and some cakes and stuff. Why shouldn't we enjoy them together? Wonderful. Page 145, would you read with me? Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Let my days be today as the one before. Less routine set my ways. Page 146. I invite you to rise physically or spiritually.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
And in the Hebrew on page 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומבין לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Page 151. Read with me responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love
Than this holiest of your works and the living language which gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננת לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך
ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, ושרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיך מארץ מצרים, לחיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת, אמת. I'm hopeful that all of us got the chance to be at a Seder, at least one, maybe you did too, and heard the Magid, the story, the mitzvah of that story being told. I have a niece, an Orthodox niece, who's going to seminary right now, and she asked a question at the Seder. She asked, why are we singing Avadim Chayinu, that we were slaves, but now we're free, and yet we have to go through the story and become slaves all over again? And it's because without that remembrance of that experience, we would never be spiritually ready to receive Torah and the lesson of Torah, namely to be good to one another, because we understand what it felt like. We know the pain, and so to inflict it on another is not just unseemly, it's forbidden. This song of the sea, this constant reminder of us walking through a challenging time to reach a land that was promised to us, is to remember the gift that we were ready to receive. Page 158.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot osef aleh, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeh ayam livnei Moshe uMiriam, ze eli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
Beautiful. Page 160, Hashkevin Veinu.
So powerful. Hashkevenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu Malkeinu l'chayim. I spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide
our Amidah, our standing prayers. Would you please rise physically or spiritually? And we are en route.
We are on
Page?
page 164.
Thank you, page 164.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufia kitahilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Ve'Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Ve'Koneh HaKol V'Zocher Chazdei Avot Ve'imahot U'Mevii Geula Livnei V'nei Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiv Haru. No! Really? Let me just say that again. Moridata, yay. Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somach Noflim, Ve'Rofer Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umakayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar. Milchama Gevorot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umchaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata Lechayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Michaye HaKol. Ata Kadosh, V'Shem HaKadosh, U'Kadoshim Bo Yom Yalucha, Salah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take a moment to enjoy your silent meditation and reflection, and please be seated when you're done in that pursuit. לעולם.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
כי אתה הוא מלך אדון, לך שלום.
כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום.
ואת הלן עיניך לברך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first.
Good.
On page 362, we invite you to rise physically or spiritually as we take our sacred scroll from the ark.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני עילון לעולם ועד. Adonai עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. הרחמים היטיבה את צאנך, את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אלרם ונישא, אדון עולמים. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. לך הגדולה, הגדולה והגבורה, והתפארת והנצח והחול. כי כה בשמיים ובארץ, כי כה בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, והנתנשא לכל ראש. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד another nation and use swords, turn them into pruning hooks and shovels.
Page 559 in the Chumash, many of you are aware it is Chol HaMoed, Pesach, or the intermediary days of Pesach. And so there is, of course, a special reading that goes off of the cycle that we are following, the normative Torah cycle. So let me just find my spot, and then we will get on with a blessing. Okay.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Amarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, and this is God speaking to Moses in response to Moses saying to God, unless you go in front of us, you can forget about us going for even one more step. And instead, we'll talk about it a little bit, we'll unpack it a little bit more at the Devar. Gam et Devar hazeh asher dibarta e'eseh ki matzati chen be'enai. God says to Moses, also that this thing that you have said I will do, because you have found favor in my sight. Ve'edacha b'shem, and I know you by name. Vayomer, and Moses goes on. Har'eni na et kavodecha. Please, I beg of you, let me see your glory. Vayomer, and God answers. Ani a'avir kol tuvi al panecha, v'karati b'shem Adonai. I will pass, let my goodness pass in front of you, and I will call forth the name Adonai in front of you. V'hanoti et asher achon, v'rachamti et asher arachem. And my gracefulness for those whom I show grace, and my compassion for those who I am compassionate. Vayomer, and God goes on, Lo tuchal lirot et panai, you cannot see my face, ki lo ra'ani ha'adam v'chai, for no human can see my face and live. Vayomer Adonai, and God says, Hine makom iti, behold, right here, there's a place by me. V'nitzavta al hatzur, stand on the rock.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam natar b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you so much, Devorah. It is even more beautiful as it goes on. And if you have some time this Shabbos, read the story. I'm sure some of you know it, but it's one of those things you must read over and over again, because there's so much to find, so much hidden in that text. We turn to our Misha Berach. It's a formulaic for prayer, and this particular Misha Berach is for those in need of Rifwa Shlema. Please, as I go around, call forth the name of someone you're thinking of.
Calf Mormon.
You can just shout it out. Go ahead, Sam. And are there any on Jack on YouTube? Thank you. We join together singing.
Mishaberach avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Mishaberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your love. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi shaberach avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi shaberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Also, Carlos Barrios, Patricia Barrios, Stephen Engelman, Marcy Gelber, Phyllis Goldblatt, Tony Hilsebeck, Molly Levine, Miriam Lyon, Allison McGowan, Tom Sobel, Tolly Stein, Cameron Michael Taft, and Eddie Tucker. On page 360,
74.
All right, we could do that too.
Okay.
Page 374, we invite you to rise physically or spiritually as we place our scroll back into the ark.
Hodo al haaretz v'shamayim v'yaret keren le'amot tehilah lechol chasidav lifnei Yisrael hamkerot.
To understand the magnitude of the pericope of Torah prescribed for Chol HaMoed Pesach, we need to go back to the full parsha prescribed during our normative Torah cycle, Ki Tisa. Imagine, if you will, the scene that parsha lays out. Despair and anxiety fill the Israelite encampment as the only person who is qualified to serve as leader disappears up the mountain that has earlier blazed with earth's shaking fire. In despair, they force Aaron to make an idol, and Moses, in rage and fury, has smashed the very tablets on which have been engraved the charter of the covenant, the 10 words. Moses is confused and desperate and pleads with God for a sign of nearness and reassurance. It acts as a sign of forgiveness as well, that the relationship between God's self and this ragtag group of people is still intact and functioning. It makes perfect sense why insecurity would illuminate Pesach. As we start to count Omer, which we will do for the first time tonight, we begin a trek towards a spiritual renewal. But more practically, Shavuot, the end of the counting, will also be the end of our ancestors' growing season. Whatever is growing now will soon wither under the blazing sun. You can imagine the anxiety that reality would cause. The moment of tenderness I just read is so stunning. It can actually buoy us in moments of insecurity, of fear. But this encounter with divinity filled with grace and loving forgiveness doesn't end there. Moses' smashing of the 10 words is impulsive and rash, but God gives second chances. God tells Moses, "Carve 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I will inscribe them." Forgiveness and compassion. And then finally, unbelievably, a private encounter. The Torah says, Adonai came down in a cloud. God stood with him there and proclaimed the name Yud-He Vav-He. Adonai passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in loving kindness and faithfulness, extending kindness to the 1,000th generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Yet he does not remit all punishment, but visits the iniquity of fathers upon children and children's children, upon the 3rd and the 4th generations. These words have been chanted millions of times by our tradition, most notably when we stand at the Ark at the Shalosh Regalim, the 3 pilgrim festivals, and the Yamim Noraim, the high holidays. These attributes of God paint an intimate portrait of a presence so near to us, and yet seemingly so inaccessible at all times. Months ago, Sarah Beth Salzman, our executive director, found a folder filled with Rabbi Herman Schalman's Alav HaShalom's notes on a few parshiot. As many of you know, his sermons were memorized. But first, he created paragraphs of seemingly incongruous material. That is, of course, only so to those of us, me for example, who are not blessed with such a supple and learned mind. Little by little, I've gone through these notes and tried to piece together what he might have meant by these fragments. Of this episode, he did, however, write this sentence: "It is the most remarkable self-disclosure of God in our entire literature. There is no more complete or detailed revelation of God's nature and our understanding of it anywhere." Can you hear his voice? And yet, it is what is hidden which confounds us. Anyone who has spoken to God, and I dare say it might be everyone in this room, understands that the answers don't come blazing forth like a burning bush or a shaking mountain. But in those times of self-doubt, those moments of connection may be just enough to allow us to move forward. I wish you all a sweet and meaningful Pesach. Before we go straight to Aleinu, we are going to count Omer. The 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot are known as the Omer period. The Omer means sheaf. It was an ancient measurement of grain, of barley, that one brought to the temple beginning on the 2nd day of Passover. So, if you would like to follow along with the bracha, page 570, 570. And we'll join together in the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al sifrat ha'omer. And the formula, because it's the first day, is a bit different. Hayom yom echad la'omer. Today is day 1 of the Omer. And so we go straight now to the Aleinu, page 586, and we invite you to rise physically or spiritually.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו
כמשפחות האדמה,
שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים
ומשתחווים ומודים
לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
I invite you to please be seated. This poem by Rabbi Karen Kadar is entitled The Valley. The valley of the shadow of death is a tender place. It is a place of questions and things unsaid, and grace, and love, and depth, and sadness. My heart is open. My breath is gentle. I am tired and sleepless, so I sit a while by the still waters, and you are with me. God is with me. I shall not fear. We remember as a community. Adolf Amster, David Blum, Samuel Bloom, Dora Borer, Adolf Bonham, Sidney Boyer, Marvin Bridges, Nathan Bykoff, Morris Charon, Howard Cohen, Louis Eisenberg, Milton W. Eisenstein, Selmar Espin, Philip Estes, Sigmund Frank, Fanny Gilbert. With apologies, there are names missing from this particular list. If there is the name of someone you wish to remember, please call forth the name.
William Schlaes.
Are there any names, Jack, on YouTube? I would like to invite those in mourning to rise first, or those who are acknowledging a yard site, and those whose custom it is to please join them. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaychon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael v'agava al iman kariv v'imeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shomei d'kursha brihu. Ela min kobirchata v'shirata, tushmechata v'lechemata, da'miran me'alma v'imeru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imeru. Amen.
Amen.
May the source of peace send peace to all of you who are bereaved among us. Let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. All right, we have a closing song that I just, a cantor friend posted, and I thought, oh, we got to do it. It's fabulous. And so, Matzalooya it is.
It's rather ingenious. Does everybody have their extra sheet? Matzalooya. Thank you, Amy, here in.
Now here's a bread so dry and flat, Passover, that's where it's at. But you don't really care for matzah, do ya? This is the bread of the poor upon our backs. This paste we wore as we escaped from Egypt.
just flour and water, it's baked like that. No yeast, no milk, no schmaltzy fat. You wouldn't feed this to the cat, this matzah. And still we eat it every year. Perhaps you'd like a cream cheese smear in Jerusalem next year. Matzalooyah.
Sing it out.
Matzalooyah.
Feeling.
Matzalooyah. Matzalooyah.
Cantor, you've outdone yourself. Another fabulous service. Thank you.
And to you, Ruth, and to you, our beloved family, Chag Pesach Sameach V'Kasher. Have a
Pesach.
joyous Passover and a kosher one too.
Yeah. Good night.
And Shabbat Shalom.
That's the best part.